Hello and welcome to What the Tech from Boast AI, where we talk with some of the brilliant minds behind new and exciting tech initiatives to learn what it takes to tackle technological uncertainty and eventually change the world. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome onto the show entrepreneur-extraordinaire David Brennan. David is a CEO and co-founder of Arkeo AI, which is a SaaS co-pilot that enables sales teams to achieve faster win rates and ultimately close more deals. Arkeo AI is designed specifically for SaaS founders and their teams to make informed decisions and drive growth. As customers integrate their systems, Arkeo offers AI agents tailored to specific departments that continuously analyze data and deliver actionable insights while also alerting to opportunities and threats. He holds an Executive MBA with a specialization in innovative leadership, co-founded SafetyEvolution in 2016, and helped execute the strategic acquisition of SafetyTrek in 2022 before embarking on the Arkeo AI journey. An impressive career to date, and I can't wait to share some of David's expertise for building a successful AI business in 2024. And what's on deck for the future. So, without further ado, welcome to the show, David.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. I mean, I know I gave a little bit of background there, but David, tell our audience a little bit about your journey into the entrepreneurship space and add a little more color to that dry CV read that I gave at the beginning.
Well, so my journey started at my parents' RV park when I was like 14, maybe as young as 12. And so I grew up in the Yukon territories, and so my parents were entrepreneurs, and I fell in love with the creativity of entrepreneurship, building, sales. I remember selling gold with my dad at the RV park to American tourists. And it was so much fun because it was the competition. And I'd come occasionally, which is saying something for a 15-year-old. But that's where really my love of business started. And so I started a few companies through my 20s and 30s, but I really was trying to understand how to run companies better. So I went back to school in 2014, graduated in 2017 with my MBA, and funnily enough, started the first software company about halfway through that MBA program. But I wouldn't suggest working a consulting job in oil and gas, 12 hours a day, and doing an MBA and running a startup at the same time. But we made it through and it was fun. And so that kind of got us to starting to learn about technology. SafetyEvolution was an amazing place to learn about how to build products that people love, all the things that go into starting and running tech companies. Really set us up for Arkeo. So it was January of last year, and we were trying to figure out how to optimize SafetyEvolution with AI. We could see this incredible glint in these large language models of capacity, but they always had the same problem. They just didn't know your company. And whenever you used them, you were always trying to add prompt engineering and context and all of this incredible stuff to it. And I remember I was out for a run training for an ultra marathon behind a vineyard in Kelowna. And I was like, what if we could just build an AI that knew your company? And of course, technology has significantly changed since then. But we went to market and figured out that SaaS companies just wanted this as bad as we did. And so in November, we actually went live with a RAG, which funnily enough, I remember we were working on it in October and I was at a networking event. I said, yeah, we're building a vector database connected to a large language model. We went live in November, and within 7-8 days, we knew that they were going to have to shift because the 10 companies that we put in didn't know enough about their actual business to be able to make it meaningful when they communicated with it. And so we pivoted and went into the agentic structures that we build now, where we actually build these agents that go into your company and process that data and bring back that intelligence to your team and tell you what's going on. And the goal with it is really to be able to have an AI that intimately knows your company. So the first thing you have to do is build agents that go into your software stack to gather that information. And once you have that in your actual database, you're able to use that to automate different aspects of your business. So that's how you build an intelligent AI.
I love it. There are several different points I want to pull up there. First off, when you started talking about it, you had mentioned creativity when we were talking about entrepreneurship. It's a lot more about like, okay, here are the ones and zeros. Here's the actual code. Here's how we dive into it. But coming from a place where it can be fun and you can get creative, I think is something that I heard you mention a few times and I think really resonated with some of the more interesting characters that we've met on this show, where they're having fun with it, but they're also getting creative with the solutioning. You had mentioned that you spoke with people and you pivoted the product. I think that's another thing that founders in this audience really need to bear in mind is that you need to do that research early on. It's part of the R&D process, whether or not you want to formally categorize it as R&D, but talking to your prospective customers, figuring out what the need is, recognizing that the SaaS community in particular needs a co-pilot akin to what you guys are building, but maybe we go for a different kind of modeling. Maybe we do a different kind of tech behind the scenes. Really rang exciting to me while you were doing that description about your background. You're having fun while you're doing it. You're being creative, but you're also really listening and you're pivoting to deliver that best solution. Now, we did talk a little bit about what makes Arkeo unique, how you did pivot the technology a little bit, and that over the past year, it's really been kind of building this ultimate product. But could you tell me a bit more about the unique R&D that goes into Arkeo and what sets you apart from other, I don't want to say AI solutions in the market, because that is the broadest and growing category of solution that there possibly could be, but maybe in terms of co-pilots or even just tools for new SaaS founders or people building businesses?
Well, I'll say, I think the parts, first of all, you nailed it. Like there's such like AI right now is like the broadest term ever. Right. And I think when you start to narrow it down and look at what we're building, even the term co-pilot is really overused and people don't really fully understand what that means. So we actually started using agent and agentic structures as our description. So people can understand that that's really what you're building. And so I think from a technical standpoint, think of an agent as a series of functions that are going to go and do things. And what's really neat about the technology that we have now is you can set up series of functions that are augmented with some machine learning and maybe some LLM, but then there's also like other aspects of it. And so that's one of the big things that you're going to see as a business owner coming out. You're going to see a lot of these agents coming in. So we've actually kind of broke them out into certain categories. You'll see them come. Salesforce is starting to bring them. HubSpot's starting to bring them. And what those ones will be is they'll be very much like a workflow agent. And so think of like a workflow builder in those softwares where you can just build out a process. This is a big differentiation between us and those companies. We think that they're building great products and we're using them as our infrastructure. But the agents that we're building are connected to multiple different software stacks, multiple different aspects, and they come pre-built. And the goal for them is to actually understand your company. We see on the horizon, like O1 is out now, and they're already talking about exponential leaps in reasoning over the next 24 to 36 months. So the technology is going really quickly. And we want to be able to use that technology as it gets better and better. And so when we build agents, what we're doing is we're connecting it to these ever increasingly smarter and more intelligent large language models. And we're using them as a processor in those agentic structures. If you bring on, like to put it in layman's terms, if you brought on an employee tomorrow, what do you have to do? You have to train them. You have to give them all your SOPs and you have to give them all the information so they're able to do their job. Agents will be no different. So how do you create a centralized place of true data and true information about your company that's equal to the founder's knowledge and probably will be more because it's actually coming off of the data sets. So your sales pipelines, your conversations with your customers, all of that information is being brought together and stored so those agents are able to use it. And that's the big difference because it's not just one data set. It's all of them. It's your sales pipelines. It's your customer success software. It's your accounting software. It's your development software. It's your project planning software. And when you have all of that brought into one centralized place, you can imagine how powerful and creative your agents can be in the future. And so that's the big difference between us. And then of course, the other side of that is you need to be able to make those agents tunable. So when we give you an agent, it's pre-built, but you can tune it that last 5% that customizes it for your company.
I'm so surprised hearing all this, David, about how much this applies to my past. I worked for a company where we had agent-based solutions. Basically, you have your monitoring point at your computer. If it's at your laptop or your desktop, it's that instead of at your corporate data center, for instance. It was a work from anywhere, work from home solution. Now, what I see as a similarity here is that agent is learning everything about the performance at that workstation, and it's really getting to know it, and it's processing all the data, and all the data is passing through it. In the context of AI, which is a completely different beast here, but using similar language, that agent is dedicated to your business and a specific arm of your business. But in the big collective, those agents together, as synchronized and in concert with Arkeo, are going to know your business and grow with your business and learn more as your business evolves. Akin to how in the network performance monitoring, those many agents in concert together tell you the true health of your network. So hopefully I didn't boggle that, but again, I was just really, really surprised how much that connected to something that I wasn't expecting from my distant past, way before AI was even having a effect on what we're doing in the business realm. So I hope that kind of makes sense, but I'm just going to say it one more time, agentic structures, because I know that I didn't hear it the first time, and I want to make sure that everybody who's listening really gets that differentiator in there, David. Now, I did want to know too that, Joe, I think it was at SaaS North last year, actually. It was either before Arkeo was official or Arkeo was just getting off the ground, but you work with a lot of folks across the tech ecosystem. You had mentioned you're from Yukon. I know today you're based out in San Francisco, so it's all across North America that you're tapping into this kind of community that we have here. You're familiar with Boast. We've worked with you in the past. We love that we get to see you, but could you tell me about other maybe stakeholders in the tech community that you leaned on to help build your business, or resources that other entrepreneurs can turn to help get an idea like this off the ground?
So I think that's a great question, because I'll say the biggest things that I've really come to believe over the last 2 years is the power of your network. How much quicker you can move as a company when you have that. I think there's some really great ways for founders to tap into those. Where I was first in the Okanagan, and so we had Accelerate Okanagan. So there's always like these local accelerator incubator places that you can start to build your network with. We're lucky enough to join the SaaS Academy network. Dan Martello's and the team there, Johnny and Matt, have really helped us grow and understand and learn about how to run companies. And then when I went to San Francisco, actually the Alchemist Accelerator in San Francisco was a great one. The SafetyTrek company went through there. So that of course opened up that network for us as well. And actually we applied to go back into Alchemists with Arkeo just because of the power of that network. And so I think that's part that a lot of founders and entrepreneurs don't realize, how much that can really help and how much they should reach out and do that. Yeah, it's going to cost you a bit of money, but I'm telling you, it will change the way that you're able to operate. You will learn. There'll be one in your local region that will really, really help you.
No, I couldn't agree more. We partner with a lot of incubators, a lot of accelerators. And I think that point about the initial investment too, it's worth it. You don't want to be guessing and throwing money at things. You want to make sure that the money you're throwing is going to go someplace with the experience. The ROI at the end of it is invaluable when you use those resources. It's the experts who've done it before you. Follow their lead. And again, it's never going to be one-to-one, but even just having that sounding board, I think just having people who've done it before to like vent to even can be really helpful. Now, going back to Arkeo, I know you guys have had some big announcements of late, and I know that there's even more up on the calendar, but can you give me a little insight into what we can look forward to over the next few months?
Well, we have public availability, went on September 15th. So we've got about 40 companies in right now. And so the big push over the next 6 months, we'll be building out more of these agents. And so all of the design partners, early companies that come in, we meet with them on a regular basis. So we're really just building them the agents that they want to help them solve problems in their company. And so put out one of those about every 10 to 14 days. Over the next 6 months, we expect that we'll put about another 20 agents into the library for our customers. We're in the middle of a raise right now. We're doing a $2 million raise and expecting that we'll see some significant growth. It's been incredible. We put 104 companies on our wait list since January 10th and 40 more in the software. So I think we're just south of 150 companies so far in the 8 months or 9 months, and just absolutely incredible. After having had companies where the market wasn't hungry, to steal Alex Hormozi's saying, to go into a place where the companies are hungry, the market is moving, and all the wins are there at once is just such an incredible experience. And we feel pretty blessed and lucky to be doing this right now. So that's the big things. We're ramping up really, really quick, and we're hiring and just bringing on people, and going to be a fun 18 months.
I love it. And again, the companies are hungry. The markets are moving. You guys did the due diligence. You saw where they were going to need a solution and you built it for them. I think that's the part that was music to my ears. Every 10 to 14 days, you guys are deploying some new stuff and you're talking to the people and making sure that it actually fits their needs. So many people aren't having those conversations at that regular interval as well. And you're getting that great success and you guys are getting that momentum just south of 150 companies in 8 months. That is badass, David. I'm so impressed and I couldn't see it happen to a better team than you guys. We love running into you folks at shows and we love that we're part of your community as well. Now, my final big question, any sage wisdom or advice for founders who are listening or entrepreneurs who want to get started in 2024? What is something you do to keep it cool with all that's going on in the world and building a fast growth company?
Well, you kind of touched on it. I think I'll touch on two things. The first one's around product and customers. The biggest mistake I made in my first startup was I didn't talk to my customer. We built a product that nobody wanted in a market there just wasn't interest, and we built our product, and then it took us 3 years to fix it. And so that cost us 4.5 years and cost us market positioning and everything else. And so you can see the difference when you actually start talking to the customers. Like we sold companies off Figma Flat. Like we didn't have a product. It was an idea. And so I think that's the part that I really push on founders is if you can't sell the idea before you build it, nobody's going to buy it once you build it. That's the first one. The second one that I have for founders is find something that gets you out of the office, that's physical, that keeps you healthy and moving. I started running ultra marathons 4 years ago. And what I found is because you're in such a high stress, high pace environment, you need something that takes you out of that. I find that it helps my energy, helps my creativity. It's my place. And it breaks me out of that constant grind that we get into as founders. You will burn yourself out and you will not be productive. If you don't look after yourself, you won't be able to do the things that you should be able to do. I run 2 companies right now, and one of them's a blowing up startup, and I still run. And I do it because it's the thing that heals my body and keeps me energized and able to do the things that I do. So those are the 2 big things. Talk to your products a lot and make sure you exercise and get your blood moving because that's the thing that will keep you going.
David, I'm going to draw a fine point under both of the points that you just made too. Talk to your customers. That is part of the R&D that you're going to be doing too. That will help you qualify for R&D tax credits down the line. When you're having those conversations, that's part of the research. It can't just be like, oh, hey, do you like this today? Can we change the interface? No, it's got to go a little deeper than that. And there's got to be some development after the fact. You will save yourself those 4.5 years if you just ask those questions early and then get started doing that R&D and start doing that product innovation. That could unlock opportunities for funding. If you're in Canada, it could unlock shred tax credits. If you're down in the States, it could unlock Section 41 or any number of the stateside credits. So just need to make that point. And then to that point about running. Actually, David, you have been an inspiration for our team. I mentioned it before. We met you up at SaaS North. I think I had followed you the day that I met you on Instagram, and I saw that you went for a jog in Ottawa, and it was November, and it was freezing. And I was like, okay, he has so much energy. Next day, I went for a jog. I was falling asleep after some of the keynotes, and they were exciting. They were great, but just networking when you're in a room with the closed air conditioning, I could feel myself getting sleepy every few minutes. I went for a jog, and I thought I'd be freezing my butt off, but I was ready to go for the rest of the night. And so I just want to emphasize that even if you're not a physical person, doing something that just gets your mind away from it for a little while, I think the fresh air helps too. So, David, I cannot thank you enough for joining me on the show. This is fantastic. Oh, and before we go, you host your own podcast.
I do. That's my way to give back. SaaS founder stories. So started it because we were chatting with so many SaaS founders and they're just solving the most incredible problems. And I was like, you know what? There's lots of podcasts out there that are people that have made it and are telling you about something they did 10 years ago or 5 years ago. And how what a great way to be able to take the people that are in the trenches right now at the same place that you are, product market fit, maybe Series A, but just like grinding it out and have them tell you how they're solving the challenges that they're doing. And it has been incredible. The one side that I did not expect is now 3 or 4 times a week, I get to learn from amazing founders and they teach me so much stuff. So log in and listen and just learn from the people in your peer group.
Learn from the people in your peer group. But again, David, I can't thank you enough for joining us today. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Paul.